What up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Black on Texans podcast. This is your boy AD. We got Leo and Bab. So we in this thing today. Our topic is Davis Mills, the almighty, the personification of greatness, the most triggered topic in Texans Twitter spaces and Twitter in general is Davis Mills. He is a trigger for all because you have two sides. Either he's the GOAT or you have, well, it's three sides. You have the GOAT, you have the fence, and then you have, the people that say he's ass, So, all in all, let's talk about it and, go from there. First we can talk about is what barometer, and we want to, first of all, before we get started, let's thank Jesus for these amazing topics that he's given us in the suggestion box. You guys watching this video, drop the suggestions down below. We'll be more than happy to talk about it.
Also make sure you like and subscribe and all that shit.
Please share, like, and subscribe.
Yeah.
And so the first thing is we're talking about the Texans schedule in 2022. And as far as Davis Mills, what game would be the barometer as far as to tell if Davis Mills is a good quarterback? I know we only had a small sample size of 11 games of him last year, so people are still kind of in that wait and see process. But looking at the schedule for 2022, game is the barometer that we kind of put Davis Mills as. It's enough time has passed. This is a big game. What game would show if he's a good quarterback or not? So if Leo want to post that,
I'll just post it I'll just post it in the video. Okay. Because I don't. It's too much for me to do right now. But I mean, for me, I'm looking at the schedule. I mean, realistically, it can't really be any of the first few games, right? Because I mean, there will be games that I think we look at and it'll show that he's playing well. But I mean, really, like, we will see late in the season, right? It has to be a late season game to me, because if he plays great for the first 3 games and then looks bad or not bad, but just what do you call it, inconsistent throughout the rest of the season, but I'm looking at games that I think that we won't be able to run the ball so well in, particularly this Philly game, like, I'm looking at that. I'm looking at possibly this Miami game, because of how much pressure they bring. I'm assuming that I think they kept their DC, so they're gonna run a blitz, a very aggressive style of defense, confusing, who's coming, who's dropping. So to me, those are 2 games that I think are gonna, they're in the middle of the season, you know what I mean? And I think that those are games that, like, if he looks good in that Eagles game, man, I think that'll be a great setup, because I can't really see us going in there and barring major injury to their defensive line, I don't think we're gonna go in there and just be able to really run the ball on him. I think he's gonna have to make some plays, you know what I mean? And and then the same thing with the Dolphins. I think they're gonna blitz the hell out of us. They blitz the fuck out of everybody. And I mean, obviously, I guess people will say the Mahomes game, but to me, I don't know. I mean, I guess if you could, stand a shootout with Mahomes, that's a great feat too. But I mean, their defense, I think their defense will be improved, but the other 2 games are just defenses that I think, are probably, really tricky, What do y'all think?
Yeah, I mean, like really, if I have to put my finger on like one game, like if I have to select one game, it's kind of hard for me to pick between these 2, but I'm gonna have to go with like week 8, Tennessee, because at this point it'll be kind of our breaking point in the division, right? So if we split, say for example we lose to Indy and we win in Jacksonville and we're going into Tennessee, it's like, okay, like, is this going to be a great part of the season where all of a sudden we're up 2-1 in the division. You know what I'm saying? But also, I guess if you were going to take a look at what's really going to put Davis Mills on the map, it's going to be the Philly game, right? Because you're going to have everybody on notice, right? If he does a fantastic job of, showcasing his talent on national TV, he's going to get talked about a lot, right? Mm-hmm. And so, I do agree that it can't be the first few games, right? It can't be. Even it's going to be a really tough comparison, the first 6 games, right? Like you're going to be in Indianapolis, then you're going to Denver. Like while they're not necessarily proven, I can already assume that Denver's going to be better this year. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a pretty easy guess. But and then Chicago will be a great game to kind of go, oh, okay, well, is Davis Mills, is Davis Mills a better second year QB here? You know what I'm saying? Do we have that at least, right? Mm-hmm. But no, when you get to the 8th or the 9th week really in the season, I think we'll know what we have. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to wait until week 11 or 12 week 10 or 11 against New York or Washington. Mm-hmm. You don't want to let those 2 teams bamboozle you and say, oh, we got our guy, man. This is it, because he'll kick their ass. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For me, the barometer game isn't the middle of the season. To me, the barometer game is the Cleveland game. Right now, just looking at it, Cleveland has the best defense on the schedule. Mm-hmm. If you look at it between the Raiders, if you want to say the Chargers, maybe, but to all honesty, Cleveland has the best defense from front line all the way to the back end. Their defense is a lot solid. So I think that week 13 game at home against the Cleveland Browns, everybody's going to be looking at it because of the whole Deshaun Watson thing, whether he's there or not. People are still going to be talking about it, whatever it is, whatever the suspension is or whatever. People are talking about that game. People are going to be watching that game. I just think, to me, the barometer needs to be about what does he do against the best defense?
Yeah.
Not necessarily, and then that's enough time because that's most of the season. That's you're 3/4 into the season at that point.
Yeah.
So, at this point, whatever he's done, successful or not successful, to me, this is a barometer game because if he's been average or okay, but then goes against the best defense that you play the whole season and he balls the hell out, then you're like, okay, maybe it clicked. And then he follows that up the season, because after that, you play the damn Cowboys, who has a decent defense. Then you play Kansas City. Kansas City is just a perennial playoff, 1 or 2 or 3 top AFC opponents. So if you can pull off surprising win or play well enough to win the game in those 3 games, okay, we got something. Then you follow it up at the division with Tennessee.
Yeah, in Tennessee.
At Tennessee, in Tennessee.
In a game that's gonna probably have playoff implications for them. You know what I mean? Because I think that people are just kind of assuming that they're just gonna fucking fall off a cliff, and I don't see that. So they might even be still fighting for the 1 seed at that point. You never know.
So those stretch of games, the Cleveland, Dallas, Kansas City, and Tennessee, to me are the barometer. It starts with Cleveland, the best defense, and then it follows up. What does he do against these high caliber teams? Because this is the toughest stretch that the Texans play the whole schedule. So if he plays well or decent enough to win the game, and he's not a part of us losing the game, then to me that tells you what type of quarterback he'll be. I know some people in the fan base have already got it written in stone, but hell, if Davis Mills comes out week 1 and throws 4 interceptions, what the hell? What are we going to be talking about? You know,
Yeah, and we're talking about a stretch of like 6 games right here in the middle of the year. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Like me and Leo were saying like that Philly game, and you're saying Cleveland, like right there. Look at the 3 teams like sandwiched between those 2 games. You know what I'm saying? Like winnable to me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, for sure. But I think too, you got a great point, AD, that's going to be the best defense we face all year. But I think that's what Leo was saying with Philly is like their run defense is just going to be incredible next year. Yeah, they're just going to be great. Yeah, barring injury, like you were saying, they're going to be great. So what can Mills do this year without, needing that running game to carry him, right? Okay, we've seen what he can do with 170 yards rushing, right? He can put up some great numbers, but what can he do when that's completely taken out of the game this year? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and I think that's what we're going to see with the Philly and the Cleveland game. But yeah, like week 9 to week 13, that's where you're going to know, right?
Yeah,
that's where we start to have the are we drafting a quarterback conversation.
And even still, I mean, the Dallas game, like, and the Kansas City game, I mean, those are probably going to be games that you probably are going to, I mean, I feel like historically, don't you kind of, I mean, Dallas, like, I mean, you kind of got to score to beat them. Same thing with KC. I think their defense will be improved. If he, is in a shootout with Mahomes, I think he's going to win some people over,
Yeah.
But I mean, even still, and I mean, I guess leading into the next topic, like, what does he have to do to kind of keep you from drafting the quarterback? I mean, it's just hard. It's just like, this is the thing about it. Like, to me, I guess to a lot of people, I just kind of have an unorthodox way of looking at this draft. I mean, I guess to some fans. But like, my thing is that, like, if we're picking in the top 10 and you don't really have to move to take a quarterback that you like, I just think that if you get up to the board and the best player is a quarterback and you're not having to talk yourself into it, it's kind of hard for me, even if Mills looks good, like, there's only so many like all pro Hall of Fame, if any, all pro Bowl players in the draft, no matter like what round, what pick you have. So if you feel like this quarterback can eventually be a top 10, the top 5 quarterback in the league, I kind of feel like it's, even if Mills plays good, I feel like you should take the quarterback. And I know that that's something that, might make people feel uncomfortable because they're like, oh, well, you could go get a running back or you could go get a receiver, and you could go. But my thing is just like, okay, like, I mean, like, I feel like you should never talk yourself into a quarterback. You should never talk yourself in, like, out of a quarterback and talk yourself into another position. Cause like, it's like I said, bro, we could go back and look at some of the previous drafts, even the one that comes out in my mind the most that I always use in my arguments is the Mahomes draft, the Watson draft. If you look at that fucking draft, like, every team that was picking before Watson got drafted within the next 2 years was looking for a quarterback. So like, my thing, within the next 2 to 3 years, they were looking for a quarterback, so my thing is that if one falls into your lap, you just take them and you move forward. That's just my opinion, but I think, like, for Mills to not, for Mills to secure his own job, this is my thing, is that he has to really, really put the Texans in position to win as many games to where they have to trade significant capital to replace him, and then 2, just play so damn well that even if we lose, it is completely not on him, and it's like he looks like he can be, a top 10 quarterback. That's just the fact of it. You don't pass up on a quarterback that you think can be a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah, for me, Leo, I think the thing that's so promising is his track record prior to getting into the NFL. You know, like I know we had a very small sample size at Stanford, but it's like this is one of the most unprecedented times in modern sports history, right? Where you were literally throwing like a handful of darts at a dartboard and just going, maybe these players work out because we didn't even really see them play in college, right? You know what I'm saying? And in Davis Mills's case, I mean, he was like the best pro style quarterback coming out of high school, right? Obviously has all the physical traits, goes to Stanford, has a pretty promising few games there, enters the draft and is highly touted, like enough to go into the third round. And it was like a consensus thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a consensus that he was going to get drafted, right? It's not like he's like some, you know, random quarterback who's like just taking a shot because maybe he won't make it. It was like, hey, Davis, you're going to get drafted, so just go into the draft now. You know what I'm saying? Don't stay and get injured or something like that, right? Now, so there's at least that type of promise, right? Okay, and like you were saying, Leo, it's not like I think the same can be said like how there's not a lot of Pro Bowl players that are always drafted, right? Or like, you know, even drafted like in the first 15 picks, right? The same thing goes for quarterbacks. It's not every year that you get the opportunity to draft somebody with like the history that Davis Mills has.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you just don't get that usually unless you're taking like a damn Trevor Lawrence with the first pick, right? Something that makes me feel good about it though is that I'll be okay falling on the sword with the Davis Mills thing because of the draft capital that we have for the next 2 years. You know what I'm saying? So if we need to draft a quarterback, we're gonna have a damn good opportunity to get who we want to get. You know what I'm saying? But I honestly, truly feel like, based off of the glimpse that we saw last season and kind of his track record prior to coming to the NFL, that if we can find patience for another season, it will be blatantly obvious what we need to put around him this season, right? I don't think we're going to see more of Davis Mills struggling himself than everything else around Davis Mills being like improvement needed.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I think that might outweigh the actual quarterback play this year, where it's like, we're probably going to lose games because of the defense sometimes. We're probably going to lose games because we can't run the damn ball. You know what I'm saying? We might lose a few games because we have just some receivers filling in because of injuries or something like that, you know, stuff like that. So more than I think we're going to see Davis Mills struggle. This is just my opinion. More than we're going to see Davis Mills struggle, we might see the rest of the team struggle around him, which, I mean, has basically been the track record for like the past 5 years, right? Yeah. But AD, like, you take it.
So for me, Davis Mills has the physical tools. He has the mental ability to be a good quarterback. He showed that last year to be a good quarterback. And for me, it's always been that good is not good enough. You know, it's okay to be good. It's, you know, it's a lot of quarterbacks in this NFL that are good quarterbacks. But at this point in time, I don't consider him great. And I feel like for me, the ultimate goal is to win the Super Bowl. And I feel like as much as you put around him, as much as you put in front of him, weapons as far as defense, if you have one of the best defenses, to me, it only gets you so far. I look at Jimmy Garoppolo, perfect example, is that he had everything. He had the weapons, he had the running game, the defense, but he couldn't accomplish the ultimate goal, and that's win the Super Bowl. And he's a good quarterback. I know there's a lot of comparisons about Davis Mills or Kirk Cousins, Jimmy Garoppolo, all these different things or whatever like that. To me, good is not good enough for me. If you look at the last few quarterbacks, with the exception of Nick Foles and Joe Flacco, all the quarterbacks that won the Super Bowl were considered elite. Tom Brady, Matthew Stafford, Matthew Stafford was elite. Matthew Stafford led the league in passing.
Mm.
You know, Matthew Stafford, to me, was the number 1 overall pick. He proved that he was elite in Detroit. Led them to a playoff win that they hadn't had, led them to the playoffs, let alone led them to a playoff win when they hadn't had one in 20-something years.
Mhm.
You know, then you look at who was the other? Peyton Manning?
Yeah.
Great. You know, who were the last quarterbacks to win Super Bowls? Outside of Joe Flacco for the Ravens and Nick Foles for the Eagles. In the last 15 years or more, every quarterback that has won a Super Bowl has been elite.
I mean, and say what you want about Joe Flacco, but he played his ass off that
Mhm.
in the playoffs that year specifically. So,
And he just had an incredible team around him.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, all in all, like I said, I'm on the fence. To me, that's why I go back to what does he have to do to warrant us not drafting a quarterback? If we win 8 to 10 games, like everybody is, you know, hoping and praying that we win 8 to 10 games, if we win 8 to 10 games and it's because of the defense and the running game and not because of Davis Mills, then it makes me question is what gets us over the hump. If the defense played well enough, if defense led the league in turnovers, or because they were top 5 in turnover takeaways last year, if they lead the league in turnovers, if the running game produces 1,000-yard rusher and a 500-yard rusher, and the running game is effective, defense is great, and we only win 8 to 10 games and miss the playoffs, then what are we missing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're missing a quarterback to get us over the hump. Then you have to go get that capital. You know, as far as, to me, the numbers are going to be the numbers. You play 17 games. In 17 games, a good quarterback should get 3,500 yards, 30 touchdowns.
So AD, I wanted to ask something real quick because I just realized this. Like, me and Leo kind of agreed between like week 8, week 9. But are you saying you're gonna give Davis Mills until week 13 to kind of prove what you're saying, or are you saying more it's like the Cleveland game itself?
Well, to me, it goes hand in hand, because my thing is, to me, in week 13, you've already gone through 3/4 of the season.
Yeah.
And then it just so happens that Cleveland is the best defense you play at the same time.
Yeah.
And my thing is, at 3/4 of the way, you've given enough leeway, you've given enough time for him to take some bumps, for him to take some hits, for him to have a few bad games. And at this point, he should be matured enough in his second year. He should be on the other side of that rookie set or the second year wall, on that other side where he's seen just about everything. Because it's not like you play chump change defenses. You play Denver, who's a tough defense. You play Indy, who's a tough defense. You play Washington, who's going to be pretty decent on defense.
Los Angeles is going to be crazy.
The Rams going to be, not the Rams, the Chargers are going to be crazy, you know, on defense. So all of these things, you're going to see different looks. You're going to see good to great. Even Miami is going to be a good defense that you're going to play. By the time you get to Cleveland, you should have seen it all. You should have, you know, been able to process or be able to fix your processing and go from there. I think a lot of people, and I'm gonna say it, a lot of people feel like it's hate for Davis Mills when it's critiquing. Because my thing is that the expectation, if the expectation is for Davis Mills to be great, then the critiques need to be as harsh as possible, because you expect greatness.
And the whole reason you try and get 3 first-round draft picks after trading a franchise quarterback is in hopes of replacing a franchise quarterback.
Exactly. So all in all, like I said, to me, the best time to get a quarterback would be next year. Because even if you had to give up major draft capital because of your record and everything like that to move into that top 2 or 3 to get the quarterback that you want, you have 4 first-round draft picks the next 2 years. So if you swapped 1 and you gave 2 extra away, you still have a first-round pick next year.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And to me, that is, I'm a proponent of, we've been through 2 trades where we only had 1 first round draft pick in 4 to 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Between the Deshaun Watson trade to get him,
Mm-hmm.
Laramie Tunsil trade to get him.
Mm-hmm.
We were in a spot where we literally had 1 first round draft pick in 5 years, basically. And so I'm at a point now where you don't make those kind of trades the year in 23, 24, where you have 2 first round picks and then every year after that is 1.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do make a trade and you swap first and then you have to attach an additional first, you're into the following year where you only have 1 first round pick. So now when you make that trade, you don't have a first round pick the following year. And if your team is not playoff, AFC championship bound by then, now you look crazy in the head because now you don't have a first round pick.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a snowball effect, is that you have to use draft capital to get certain players that you can't get in free agency to make a trade for. And now you're trading more draft capital to get this player to get you over the hump. I just feel like at this, and because especially when you don't have a first round pick, you have a rookie at quarterback that you made a trade for the previous year.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a guarantee that rookie is going to take you to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, or take you to the AFC Championship game. It's not a guarantee.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull a AD. At the end of the day, I think once we get to Cleveland, and if he balls out, I don't want to take a quarterback. But if he loses and we lose out or we don't do good the rest of the season, that's where I'm gonna be like serious, like, all right, like which one are we taking? You know what I'm saying? But I think, really, if we have a decent season going into Cleveland, I mean, we have the last 3 fucking games as like our opportunity to go to the playoffs. It's the last, like if we split with everybody, if we go 2-1 or 1-2 with the division in our first 3 games in the division, right? If we get to Cleveland and we fuck shit up in that game, who cares what happens in Dallas and Kansas? You know what I'm saying? Like if we go into those last 3 games and we tear it up, like it's a playoff team. You know what I'm saying? Like that's literally what it is, right? It's so wild how our schedule is set up this year. You know what I'm saying? So wild. You will literally know if you need to draft a quarterback by week 13 or by the conclusion of week 13.
But see, like my thing too, to like kind of be devil's advocate, I guess. Like, I mean, I'm all for drafting the guy if you feel like they're the guy, But I mean, there's so many ways that they could go about it, If they don't like Bryce Young or Stroud, they don't, and Mills plays good, they don't necessarily have to. I do not want to draft a guy that they don't feel comfortable with, because like I do think that there will be great players also in this draft. It's just that if they think that Bryce Young and Stroud will be top elite, you know what I'm saying, you take them. My thing also is that, like, I mean, if Mills is that, I mean, you could, we have 2 first rounders, like we say. I mean, if Mills plays well enough to keep us like where we're in a position where what Bab is saying, you know what I'm saying, you could still take a guy that maybe has more tools than Davis in the first round.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he doesn't have to play for the next 2 years. Like, let's just say, I mean, I hate to project this because, it is major projection in my opinion. Like Will Levis, because like, this big guy that has this huge arm and can run and all this stupid shit. So like my thing is that what if he falls?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like, let's say we have, a pick, 2 top 10 picks. Let's say you trade back, get more, and he's still there around 15. You know what I'm saying? Like, You have a
Something's wrong
quarterback.
then.
Huh?
Something's wrong then.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. I mean, but if you
Yeah,
get
yeah.
we have a fucking quarterback. Like this has been this is why I thought this year would have been even a good time to draft a quarterback too. Like all these quarterbacks that were at one point projected in the first round are falling into the fucking fifth round. We have a great quarterback coach. There's nothing wrong with taking a guy and developing him. I think
Yeah.
that you should, you know what I mean? Like, if you draft a quarterback and they don't beat Mills out, then that's a good thing.
What's been proven capital, like in the NFL, even like I think it was like up to, I forget where I heard this from, is like pretty much up until like a third round draft pick. The best capital in the NFL is a backup quarterback that you can trade.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it will get you the most return on investment. You know what I'm saying? And so if you have two pretty good quarterbacks, obviously you're going to get something in return from. Yeah. So we've talked about like games and like time, like I guess a duration in the season or like an area in the season. But why don't we talk about like actual stats or like actual numbers that would help maybe back up our case or make us have like a safety blanket with sticking with Mills, or what would lead us to want to like leave or go past Mills?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. For me, if you want to go stats, specifically for me, it'll be between 4,200 to 4,500 yards passing, which means that you're going to have multiple 1,000-yard receivers, meaning that Brandon Cooks on top of Nico Collins, both are having 1,000-yard seasons, along with spreading the ball around with Mitchie, Philip Dorsett, Brevin Jordan, the running Damian Pierce and Rex Burkhead. You spread that around.
All pro Pharaoh Brown.
Yeah, Pharaoh. There you go. All pro Pharaoh Brown. To me, that plus on top of the single. To me, no, he had 10 interceptions last year, 11 games. If he can stay at 10 or lower, then that would be those two stats with the touchdowns, the 4,500 yards, 42 to 4,500 yards, him spreading the ball around. The touchdowns will probably need to be right around close to 40. If you're throwing that many yards, you need to be around close to 40 touchdowns. Borderline, Pro Bowl, if anything, Pro Bowl caliber type season to, even if he's selected as a reserve or alternate or whatever, to me, that would give me a calmness about it, but it wouldn't necessarily shut the door. Shut the door on it. But like I said, I'm on the fence. Those games that we talked about, if he shows out and he's like a gamer, and it's the intangibles, it's the intangibles, it's the mechanics. If I see, because me, when I critique players, I critique at all levels. We talked about the Roy Lopez's. We talked about, different players, that we have on our team. Pharaoh Brown, we talked about him and critiquing him with the penalties and everything like that. We talk about Laramie Tunsil, and we talk about Titus Howard and critiquing those guys. At the end of the day, no player is above critique. If Davis Mills shows me that he's corrected those critiques, that he's corrected those mechanic issues that we talk about, where it's the footwork and throwing off the back foot and things like that, if he's shown that he's able to process, learn, and improve, he puts up those numbers, then I'm like, okay, we have something. I think the ultimate goal is to have Davis Mills as your new franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
What everybody in the Texan fan base wants, because if he's the actual franchise quarterback, then you don't have to worry about the others, the Bryce Youngs and the CJ Strauss or the Quinn Ewers and the guy from USC now, what's his name?
Caleb Williams.
Caleb Williams. You don't have to worry about those guys because you already have your guy.
Yep.
So that, to me, I think it gets misconstrued in the arguments on Twitter, on Spaces and everything like that. When we talk about Davis Mills, is that they take it as if that's not the ultimate goal.
Mm-hmm.
The goal is for Davis Mills to be that franchise quarterback that we turned around. The Texans were so lucky that we went from one franchise quarterback to the next in a smooth transition, without having to give up capital, without having to give up the farm, without having to trade for anybody or do anything drastic. So that's the ultimate goal. So those numbers to me get me closer to the ultimate goal. That 4,500, for close 38 touchdowns, 10 or less interceptions, 2,000-yard receivers, Mechie 500 plus, Dorsett 400 plus, what's his name? Rex Burkhead and Damian Pierce and Marlon Mack do well out of catching the ball out of the backfield, 200-300 yards apiece receiving. Stuff like that gives me hope that he's not reliant. Farrell Brown and Brevin Jordan both have 600-yard plus seasons and have, 4 or 5 touchdowns apiece. Stuff like that shows me the capability of him being able to read, discern, being comfortable with the checkdowns, with your running backs and your tight ends, being comfortable with that, being comfortable throwing the short passes to Brandon Cooks and him doing whatever he needs to do, throwing the short passes to Mechie, who's a yak receiver, letting him work, just getting the ball to him, just being able to get the ball to players, not make the risky throws, not saying, yes, he has great arm talent. Yes, he has good arm talent to great arm talent. Does he have the Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes arm talent? No. So when you have to process and make those decisions, like, yeah, I knew I can make this throw in college. I knew I can make this throw in high school, because in high school and college, my arm talent was top tier. But when you get to the NFL, it takes another level. You know what I mean? So those are the things that I'm looking at and that I want to see from Davis Mills. And I hope and I pray that Davis Mills is our franchise quarterback.
So Leo, before I didn't mean to cut you off, AD. I just wanted to chime in because mine's really short. Like what I'm looking for, it's 2 things. It's just 2 things. Okay. I want his completion percentage to be over 67%. But I want his sacks to be really low.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
How do if that happens, I mean, shit, his numbers are gonna be fantastic. You know what I'm saying? Everything will look great. Mm-hmm. It's those 2 things. Can he take minimum sacks while completing the highest percentage possible? Mm-hmm. Right? That's efficiency, right? And efficiency wins the football game. Now, I'm also interested in seeing if he takes a dynamic step next season, because we did see some dynamic plays. Unfortunately, all of them or most of them came off of damn flea flickers. But there were some plays, against the Patriots. How do you explain running out of the pocket that direction, passing on the sideline to Chris Moore where only he can get it? You know what I'm saying? He was doing that a few times. You know what I'm saying? Like, he had a few plays that were just like, holy shit. Mm-hmm. If you can look up Davis Mills highlights and they're longer than 2 minutes, the dude's doing something right. You know what I'm saying? Right. But anyways, Leo, you go ahead. You chime in on it.
All right. So I kind of pulled up. This is my first time doing this shit, so hopefully this works. I'm going to share the screen. Let's say, I think this is Google Chrome. All right. Y'all can see this?
Yeah.
All right. So I put this up. I just typed in top 10 quarterbacks or whatever. Or just top NFL. It kind of just ranked them. I mean, these lists are whatever, but so just to look at these guys' numbers, just so so Brady was number 1 with 67.5% completion, 5,000 yards, 43 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. All of these teams, obviously are very different. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So the yards are different. Mm-hmm. Touchdowns would be different and all that. But so Brady is there, I'd assume they probably threw the ball a lot more. Rodgers is there with 4,100 yards.
Hey, look at that interception though. 37 touchdowns to 4
interceptions. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
And only 3 fumbles. Only 3 fumbles.
That's ridiculous.
Herbert is 5,000 yards, 38 passing yards. Burrow, Mahomes 4,800 yards, 37. Allen 4,400 yards, 36 TDs. Murray, is there.
Hold on, that one right there.
Mm-hmm.
This is the type of season, Kyler Murray's type of season that people were like, oh yeah, this and that. No.
Yeah, I'm not happy.
If he gives me, I know, I'm just saying, like, I'm just being honest. If he gives me that type of season, he's got to go. To me, that's almost pedestrian type of season.
Yeah, and then
not pedestrian.
He missed games too.
You're true. He missed 3 games.
Yeah.
And I think he played hurt a little bit too, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Dak, someone who people love to hate, but you look at that shit, that's pretty damn good.
This is exactly what AD's looking for.
Yep.
That's exactly what he's looking for. So we're looking at we need Davis Mills to give us a top 10 QB performance.
Yeah. For me to solidify him and saying that at this point, quarterback is not an option.
Yeah, I see it.
Looking at quarterback in the next 2 seasons because of this.
Yeah.
This is the type of season. He had a full season.
Even still, bro, this is my thing that people hate to hear shit like this. It's the same argument with the Titus Howard and the Tunsil shit. It's the same argument with the Tavia versus, Petrie.
Yeah.
It's the same thing that, with Mills. We didn't invest that much in him. He was a 3rd round pick, and I think we had multiple 3rd round picks that year, right?
But we traded up to get
we traded up to get
that.
So my thing is, like, we're playing with house money. Like, if Mills has a pedestrian season like a Kyler Murray still had, a top 15 quarterback season. My thing is that if you don't think Bryce Young or CJ Stroud is gonna be a top 10 quarterback, then you just don't draft him. Like Mills gives you the flexibility to not have to draft him. You could trade back. You could do what Philly did. They traded back and keep. You could keep milking these picks, and keep building the team. And like, it's no rule that says we have to do it now. It's no rules that says that, these next 2 years are the only years that we'll have 1st round picks. So like that's my thing, is that, like, I just need Mills not to be dog shit. Like, for me not to force myself to draft a quarterback. But it doesn't matter what kind of season Mills has. If I see a guy that I feel like is the prototypical quarterback, and can do everything I ask him to do, then, it doesn't matter what kind of season Mills has, damn near. He would have to have an MVP season to stop you from drafting the guy that you view as a potential league MVP in the future. Yeah. And because, like, at the end of the day, and then it goes back into this whole argument of, well, if he can't beat Mills out, if this guy can't beat him out, then it's a wasted pick. No, like, I don't think y'all realize, not y'all, I don't think people realize how bad we have been the past couple of years. Like, this project is an ongoing project. He doesn't like, like, we don't even know. Like, I'm pretty sure that the secondary we start at the beginning of the year won't be the secondary we're starting probably in the middle of the year. This is an ongoing project. So, like, I think that, we're going to see Pep and Lovey evolve as the years go. We're going to see, schemes change. What I'm saying? Like, so my thing is that I think that, more so than anything, the goal is to acquire, the most amount of high-end talent that you can find. It's not about, okay, well, I think this is how a lot of fans view it. And I've even seen this amongst Rockets fans. Like, they're like, okay, I have this piece. You know what I mean? Now, how do I complement this piece? And it's like, why are you thinking about complementing this piece on a fucking 3-14 team?
Yeah.
Like, why are we thinking about building our defense around Roy Lopez?
Mhm.
You know, you know what I'm saying? Why are we thinking about building our defense around
Yeah.
Bernard even? You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Or
Yeah.
any, or Tavir Thomas. We were the worst we were one of the worst teams in the league. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You know, why are we building our team off of Laramie Tunsil, and after, you know what I'm saying, in 2 years, he's not even locked up long term.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We have nothing that we're building around. We just are, like, as of right now, you know, we have a corner. we drafted a corner, you know, and we don't even know. And I mean, we don't even know if Stingley's going to be a shutdown corner, but we, at the least we hope is that he's a cornerback for us for the next 8 to 10 years. That's the least that we have.
So the thing about it is that most of the time, let's look at the revisionist history of Houston Texans, especially these last few years, of players that have left the team and been pedestrian or worse, but they were good players for Houston.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it kind of shows, you know, I look at it shows you know, let's look at Zach Cunningham.
Mm-hmm.
Cunningham was a good linebacker for Houston, but when he went to Tennessee, he was average at best for Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he didn't show out. He didn't become one of the top linebackers or whatever. He was considered a top linebacker because he had the most tackles, but that's because our run defense was trash, and he was the one, you know, the running back always made it to the second level of the defense.
Yep.
So he was right there to get all the tackles anyway. I look at, you know, Charles Omenihu. People had really high hopes, and people were really showing an affinity to Charles Omenihu as a 5th-round pick. Give him a chance, let him play. He showed flashes here and there. They expected big things. Then he gets traded to San Francisco, and he's never heard of him. You know, pretty much never. He had 1 sack the rest of the year. After, you know, because they traded him at the beginning of the year, if I'm not mistaken, and he literally had like 1 or 2 sacks the whole year. So he proved that he was average or below average player. To me, I think you get your vision gets blurred when you're looking at the Texans. The last 2 years have been a bad team, 4-13.
Mm-hmm.
And certain players that are good on a bad team doesn't necessarily mean that they're good players
Exactly.
in the league. It just so happens that they get the stats and make the plays because they're the only people out there.
Yeah.
There's no competition. You know, teams that are the best have a lot of competition. So I look at Justin Reed, for example. Justin Reed, you know, for us, we know that Justin Reed wasn't the best safety. You know, and my thing is he'll go to Kansas City and he may play less than, you know, than what people expect him to play. And he's being paid as a starter.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas City has a lot of competition there. Kansas City had, you know, people, they're hoping in Kansas City that Justin Reed is going to be full-time starter and kind of replace Honey Badger. But hell, they may have a rookie or a you know, second-year player that may take snaps away from Justin Reed.
Mm-hmm.
And Reed may have been good for Houston because he was on a bad team. You know what I mean? So it's,
I mean, shit. Like the Justin Reed situation is almost similar to damn Davis Mills.
mm-hmm.
You know, Justin Reed fell and he fell right into our laps, and he played well. You know what I'm saying?
He played, yeah, and exactly. My thing is he played well, but he didn't make a second contract here.
Mm-hmm.
He played well to be a decent safety, but do we consider Justin Reed a, you know, elite safety? No. To me, Justin Reed is average at best. You know, to me, it feels like Kansas City overpaid him.
And I mean, I feel like part of that is like there's this ongoing narrative that, like, and I don't know if it's like this for other teams that are bad, but it's like, oh, well, he was bad with the Texans.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I just feel like that's just complete bullshit. I mean, at some point, like, if a motherfucker didn't play well, like,
why is he getting $11 million a year?
you just like, it's not a fucking excuse for him to not fucking play well. Oh, well, you know, it was just the Texans. Like, maybe it was just fucking him. Maybe we were bad because of him. Maybe he was one of the reasons that we are bad. And then, I mean, I hate that I'm about to go here again, but maybe Roy Lopez is one of the reasons the run defense was fucking bad. Like, you know, someone pointed out this chart to me to boost their argument. And, you know, it was a chart of basically where all the yards were coming from. And, you know, I just got tired of arguing this whole stupid ass point. And it's just to kind of like when we're talking about what it takes when we have these conversations with people about what it's going to take for Davis Mills to stay in. And I mean, I guess people think that maybe we're harder on them, but it's just, I feel like the expectations are very low because this is my thing. This guy showed a chart of like basically yards per run when it was behind the guard, center, left guard, left tackle, and then outside the tackles. Now, bro, this guy, and this wasn't just the guy, he's just writing what the beat reporter says, bro. And I'm about to break this shit down. It's crazy as fuck to me. Whoever, you know, I don't know if it was In-Depth Texas or whoever the fuck, but like they said that, okay, Roy Lopez was actually the best run defender on the team because the area right behind the center and the guard was like basically the hardest place to run the ball. And I'm like, no fucking shit. Because if you're running the ball behind the fucking center, like duh, everybody has an angle on you. Duh, it's the hardest place to run on any defense, any fucking defense. But bro, guess how many yards that were given up per play behind the center? 3.6 yards were given up when the run play was behind the fucking center. Do you think that's good? No, it's not. It's trash. You know what I'm saying? We gave up
basically 4 yards a carry. That's that's what you want. That's what
so you're using this as
a first down. You can run the ball up the middle 3 times and get a first down.
I mean, don't you think that's pretty bad, bro? You know what I mean? And it's like these are the type of people that are sitting up here saying that, oh, you know, you're being mean to Roy Lopez. You're being mean to Davis. Like, bro, at the end of the day, like, you know, I think that they're great people, you know, but that doesn't mean that, you know, we can't upgrade. I mean, we just seen, Philly did not need to draft goddamn Jordan Davis. If they was drafting by need, they did not need to go draft Jordan Davis. You know what I'm saying? They moved up to get Jordan Davis.
Yep.
These things happen all the time, you know. When you have a veteran player that hasn't, you know, or even a young player that isn't proved to be like, you know what I'm saying, a true a true fixture on the team, you know what I mean? They get replaced and upgraded. It doesn't mean that these players will never play again. So
the argument has been with those players have been, let's wait and see what they are.
Yeah. And
my thing is, if you want to wait and see what they are, then don't put high expectations on the team to be great.
Yeah.
Short amount of time.
But bro, my thing is that they want to draft a starter in the first round every fucking year. And they want it. Okay, this year we're going to draft a corner. This year we're going to draft a safety. This year we're going to draft a starting defensive tackle. And it's like they want that, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's okay to double up. It's okay to double up, bro. It's okay.
You have 2 corners on the field. You have 2 safeties on the field. You have 2 defensive tackles on the field. I mean, you need more than one. And my thing is, you know, I look at it as that you build. It's to me, it's one of 2 things. You build certain positions through the draft, or you go in free agency. Doing that way, build through free agency.
Mm-hmm.
My thing is, if you're going to build, because the way, to me, what it looked like is that the Texans are going to build their secondary through the draft, and build their defensive line through free agency. That's the signal that they showed this offseason.
At least that's what came to them.
Right. And then when it comes on the offensive end, it looks like we're going to build our receiver room through the draft, and we're going to build our running back room through free agency. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess at the end of the day, for the Davis Mills thing, like the bottom line thing, if y'all want to wrap up, is, you know, when we boil down to it, we're gonna know who Davis Mills is by the time we get into the double digits of the season, right? By the time we get into the double digit weeks of the season, right? Week 10 to 13, you're gonna know who he is. And me and Leo say that Titans Philly game right there. You say Cleveland, that's great. That's that area of the that halfway through the season to 3/4 of the season. And then as far as stats go, I mean, AD for you, he's got to be top 12. And Leo, whenever you were showing that list of teams, every one of those guys were playoff quarterbacks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like those were playoff team quarterbacks. You go look at Kyler Murray's stats. Had he had stayed healthy, his touchdown numbers were going to go up. He's going to throw more interceptions. But look at that completion percentage, dude.
Mm-hmm.
He had like 69.8 or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like he was completing passes. But to me, watching Kyler Murray versus Joe Burrow, I'm taking Joe Burrow. But he had a fourth of the stats, and he played the whole season. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's one of those things, man. When it all comes down to it, Davis Mills better give us I think the floor has to be a top 15, right? And then still we're on the fence.
Yeah. I mean, exactly.
Yeah. At the end of the day, like I said, he has to produce.
Mm-hmm.
You've given the keys to the car, and this is your team. They have proclaimed that this is you're the quarterback of this team. There is no competition, no Tyrod Taylor. There is nobody that you have to compete with. You are the QB1.
Mm-hmm.
You show, by producing, then we can go. We can ride off into the sunset and go from there. All we got to do is put some new wheels and, car and, maybe give it a new paint job and shit. We back in the playoffs and going towards the AFC Championship Super Bowl. That's what we hope. That's what we pray. That's what we want to see. So if you show us less than that, I don't want excuses. I don't want, because I'm gonna pull it here. Here's my thing is, here's my thing is, so if everybody is saying the Davis Mills Truthers that he's elite, give me elite production.
Mm-hmm.
And if he falls short of elite production, then
no excuses. You can't give no excuses.
You can't give an excuse on why he's not elite.
Yeah, because I mean that's what it's gonna turn into. It's gonna turn into well, this went wrong, and then this went wrong, and then this went wrong. And I mean, God forbid if Tunsil or Titus get hurt, or if, Cam and someone else get hurt, then it's going to turn into, well, the offensive line is bad. And then, I mean, well, goddamn, like, we argued for fucking 3 goddamn months about fucking taking a goddamn offensive lineman at fucking 3.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? For reasons like that, for reasons exactly like this. You know what I'm saying? So, like, that's what I'm saying, bro. Like, the truth is that, like, we hear people say that, Pep and Davis Mills is the reason why Pep, got an OC job. Which is so disrespectful to say that shit. You know what I mean? I think that, like, the truth is that that's just not true. I think Mills is I think Pep is just good at what he did at his job. And, I think that Pep is going to be the OC regardless of what happens with Mills, barring, like, as long as, I think Pep damn near has more job security than Mills. You know what I mean? So, like, my thing is just like, he has to keep us really picking out of the top 15. You know what I'm saying? If he can keep us out of picking in the top 15, keep us, like, in the playoff picture, and keep us, like, having to trade, valuable assets to move up to getting a quarterback, then, it just is, and then staying healthy. And, I mean, honestly, bro, I know this might, people last this long in the damn podcast. Like, if, Mills, bro, like, his job is year to year until he gets the contract.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? We can't sit up here and say Lovie Smith's job is year to year, Pep Hamilton, if fucking Davis Mills fails, Pep Hamilton is gone. Then don't you think Davis Mills is the same fucking way? Like we didn't draft him. He wasn't first overall.
So and just to be honest, if they move on from, let's say Davis Mills makes it past next year and you don't draft a quarterback, that following year, if Lovie Smith is retired or fired and Pep Hamilton is not retained, whoever coach you bring in, an offensive coordinator,
Yeah, they're gonna draft a
they're
quarterback.
going to want, they're going to draft a quarterback. They're going to want their guy.
Yeah. So, I mean, the best thing that he could do for himself is just put us, really, really make this rebuild go faster than we expect. You know what I'm saying? And keep us in a position where we're not drafting the quarterback.
And
And
let's put it on the table. My thing is if Mike, what's his name, the guy from Miami, the head coach,
Mike,
Daniel.
yeah.
Mike McDaniel had a first round pick. I think he would have taken a quarterback.
You think so?
I think so.
In this quarterback class?
Yeah, I think he would have taken a Malik Willis in the first round. I think he would have, because they didn't have a first round pick because they gave it away.
But they had a second round pick, didn't they? Did they trade a second?
They traded a lot of picks for Tyreek Hill. I don't know exactly what, but I think that honestly, I think if he had the capital, and I think at that point in time, after only Kenny Pickett went in the first round, and you saw that quarterbacks weren't taken, you kind of shy away. So you don't want to be the team and like, oh, because Pittsburgh is going to take a lot of heat if Kenny Pickett is not. I'm about to call him Kenny Stills. If Kenny Pickett is not the guy, they're going to take a lot of heat. A lot of heat for drafting, saying you went and spent a first round pick on a quarterback in one of the worst quarterback, drafts ever. And you basically gave away a first round pick.
Yeah.
So you don't want that team.
So yeah, hey, I mean, like let's wrap up the Davis Mills thing so that we can have it as one of our episodes here. So yeah, bottom line, if he produces a winning season and he's a bona fide top 15, top 12, top 10 in stats, fuck it, go get Will Anderson. You know what I'm saying? Like, just go get your guy that's going to keep the process moving forward. But something that is a little bit of a feel good thing. If Mills flops, you have plenty of capital to go. If Mills succeeds, you empty the clip and you go for it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's what I'm saying. That's the ultimate goal. Next year you'll have the cap space to make certain moves. Next year you'll have the draft capital to make certain moves. The ultimate goal is that if Davis Mills is the guy, next offseason you go full on nuclear and you go get the best players that you can get in free agency, and you go and you take that draft capital and you make some major moves.
Yeah.
That's what you do. And to me, that's the ultimate goal. That's the plan. And that's the hope amongst everybody, is that Davis Mills is that guy that do those type of things in next offseason. So it's a wait and see process. I know you have the side of the fan base that it's already set in stone. It's already done. And you have another side that is, he's never going to be that. He's never, this and that. And I feel like the on the fence people get the brunt of it because I'm part of the fence. So you're not either on full board or you're not full board. So you're getting bullets shot at you from both
ways.
From both ways. So the people that's on the fence get the most heat. And that, to me, it is what it is. At the end of the day, we're going to, by November of this year, which is what, 5 months, we should know if Davis Mills, in 5 or 6 months, we should know if Davis Mills is the guy. So, all the doubters or non-believers or whatever, people that question it, to me, if you're a truther, just sit back, stop defending and just sit back.
Yeah.
No need to defend, because at the end of the day, outside of the Texans, we critique Davis Mills the hardest because of his potential. Outside of the Texans fan base, if you look at, any of the spaces we've been in, they've been high on Davis Mills. They think that Davis Mills can be that guy. We all believe he can be, but he still has to prove it. 11 games is not a barometer. Because if he was, to me, if that's the case, the 11 games he played in college would have validated him as a undoubted first round pick. To me, that's the way it comes off. He played 11 games in college. He played 11 games in his rookie year. You know, if he's elite after 11 games in the NFL, he should have been a first round pick coming out of college.
I mean, he could have been.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying, like, if that was the case, he would have been a first round pick.
I think he would have, if you redrafted, he's a first round pick.
Yeah, if you redrafted, yeah. But that's the same reason why he was drafted in the 3rd round.
Yep.
It's the same reason why we say, hey, let's wait and see, because it's only 11 games. It's not even a full season. And even if it was a full season, it's just 1 year. Can you repeat it?
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of times that players have these outstanding years and then they're never heard from again.
Right.
You know, so, but at the end of the day, it's all hope and see. You know, we gave our projections, thoughts about Davis Mills, hot topic. Pretty sure this is going to be one of the most talked about, you know, either positive or negative episodes.
Both. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, at the end of the day, you know, it's, you know, we hope for the best. So, this is your boy AD signing off for this episode of the Black On Podcast. You got your boy Leo. We got Bab in the building. You know, we see you guys next time. Please like, share, and subscribe.
Right.